Well, welcome to the Weighing In podcast, where we are turning out to be damn butt cheap with the way we're doing it anymore because my man has left Texas. He's in California. They don't have internet there anymore. No Wi-Fi, nothing, because it's become Californicationized. They're getting rid of all of it. It's bad for you. Oh, now you're going to put on glasses like you're going to be more educational? It's not working.
Can't see anything. It's all blurry. Everything looks blurry. I can't see
You
you.
ain't
I
missing
can't
much.
see me. I can't.
Yeah.
But the Wi-Fi is. There's no power here up in the mountains by the lake where we're at. There's nothing.
Hold it. Be honest. You're on a generator, aren't you?
Yeah, I am on a generator. The light is on above me because I'm on a generator. I'm actually at my cousin's. My cousin's dad's house down the road. He's not my own. He is. I guess he'd call my uncle. He's related. She's married to my other cousin.
Just
to my
give it up.
I know, man. There's so much going on. I was like, man, we got to film tonight. Power went out. I had hope. They said it'd be up by 6. I was like, yeah, this will be up by 6.
I love the commitment. I love the commitment, Josh. You're a committed man. I love that.
I'm here for you, buddy. I'm here for you.
You're so committed, they should put you in the old Camarillo State Hospital because you're losing your shit.
I'm just hoping when we get done with this that it doesn't take forever to upload the whole show.
No,
is it just going to shut off?
That's on Gorgeous George, man.
Oh, man.
We'll cross those roads when we make it.
There you go, dude.
Yeah, I have to be able to see what my battery life is on my phone too. I have no clue.
As it starts blinking red in 5, 4. 3.
Yeah. By then it's gonna be too late. It's gonna be like, oh no, we're stuck. All right, guys, you guys got me for a short period of time.
Let's
go. Got
me
for a good time, but not a long time. That's for sure.
That's usually the way it is. Oh,
your audio's cut.
He's already off. There you go. There you go.
They're calling me. I should put my phone on Do Not Disturb.
This is like amateur hour, man.
Yeah, this is the thing. I have the setup for it, but it's just not working, man. It's horrible. I feel so bad. Okay, look. There's not much going on today. There's not much going on for this show because there's no fights this weekend. But we do have one set of fights which we will separate. We will do as a separate clip. But we actually did the Q&A today, so we're going to actually answer all your guys' questions. And you know what? In part of being a member of the Weighing In podcast, we're going to answer those members' questions first. So, George, why don't you go ahead and take this away, man? Because I think, actually, I'm very inspired by this member's question, to be honest, John. I'm so pumped. I read it. George read it to me, and I was like, yes, that has to be the first question. Because inquiring minds want to know. I want to know this, too, about John. Go ahead.
Question numero uno from Hunkleton Dunkleton. Has Big John ever smoked weed?
Have I ever smoked weed? No. I have not.
You're killing me, man. Even at this stage where weed is like pretty much legal around the world.
Dude, I have been on the cover of Cannabis Magazine. Okay, I have nothing to say bad about weed. I'm not that guy. The reason I don't smoke weed is I've had asthma my whole life, and I'm like, I don't put tobacco in my fucking lungs. I don't put marijuana in my lungs. I got enough problems. I'm not screwing with how I breathe. So that is the true reason.
I guess the next question is then, you don't have to smoke it these days. Have you done edibles? Have you done any
Yes.
Yes,
wow. I have.
Yeah, I got it out of it.
Yeah. Well, okay. Here's the true story. I was doing a podcast for someone one time, and they gave me Pop Rocks. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you gotta try these, and I said, "Oh, they had these when I was a kid." And they go, "No, you gotta try these." I said, "I've had them when I was a kid." And they go, "No, really try them." And so I tried them, right? And they said, "You're gonna feel it in a second." I said, "What do you mean?"
Oh.
And then they tell me, "Oh, well, they're they have THC in them," and it didn't do a thing to me, right?
Really?
And they're like, "Oh my god, yeah, it didn't do a thing." So I was like, first off, I was pissed that they gave them to me without telling me.
Yeah, that's messed
because
up.
that was the first time I'd ever taken THC, but so no big deal. And it didn't do anything to me, so I was like, no big deal. I figured it was kind of like drinking beers. I can drink a ton of beer. So you've been with me. Beer doesn't do anything. It's it's like Nordy, the same thing. It's like keep on going forever. And I figured, okay. So my daughter, she absolutely believes in THC for all kinds of different things as far as homeopathic things and things like that. And so she was the one. She says, you need to try it sometime. You just, if you do it the right way, you're gonna like it. And I said, no. Finally, I'm busy. I'm working the whole thing, and I come in. I'm exhausted, and she goes, "This is a good time. Why don't you just try a gummy?" I said, "All right, give me a gummy, right?" And she says, "Well, okay. Well, these are 20 milligrams. Yeah, they're 20 milligrams, right?"
Let's start you off a little small. How about 5, maybe 10?
Dude, no. My daughter gave me 40 milligrams, right? Oh, dude. And so it was hysterical because I don't know. It's one of those things. I always talk to Joey Coco Diaz about, and Joey is known. Joey is absolutely a savage when it comes to the edibles. And man, I mean, he eats, what a Death Star is?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Joey eats, even Rogan will sit there and say, man, just take a blade off of the damn Death Star.
Yeah.
Don't eat the whole Death Star. Joey will eat 4 or 5 of them at one gulp, right? And I said, Joe, do you get like, people talk about getting paranoid? He says, oh, yeah, I get all paranoid. Absolutely. That's when I start to eat. he goes, but when, we would fly together a lot of times out of Burbank Airport, which is, a small airport, and we'd be on Southwest together. And he would take stuff, but then he would start to get panicked. He'd start fucking eating stuff because he hated flying. But he was the one that would talk to me about how much and stuff. So my daughter gives me this 40, and I'm sitting there, and this is when I realize, oh fuck, I'm in trouble.
Oh no.
Okay, and that's Now when I say in trouble, because I'm talking to my daughter, and then I realize she's not there. And I didn't see her go anywhere. Right? So I was like, where the fuck did she go? Right?
No.
And so then she comes back, and it was like, how did you get? Oh, I can tell I am screwed up.
Oh,
so I get up, right? She goes, where are you going? I said, if I can make it, because I wasn't sure I could move my feet. I'm going over to that couch. I'm going to sit on that couch. Don't let me do anything because I'm fucked up, right? And she's laughing, right? And so I sat there on the freaking couch the whole time, and it seemed like it was forever.
And it was
forever.
Like
yeah, it was probably like 15 minutes total.
Oh, jeez.
Felt like it was 8 hours.
Oh.
And so that was the one time that I have done something.
Right that's great. Your daughter did you dirty, man. She should have given you
did me dirty like a dog.
10.
And she sits there and she goes, I just thought because you were big and you had done that one thing and you said it didn't do anything. And I go, you fuck.
She did you dirty. Did you dirty.
Yep.
But at least you were in the comfort of your own home.
Comfort of her home, yeah. So
that works.
That's what I've done. I'm not the guy that takes a lot of stuff. I drink whiskey.
Yeah.
I drink beer.
Well, I mean, he drinks. I want to make sure we clarify. He says he drinks a lot of beer, but it's easy to drink a lot of beer when you're drinking Michelob Ultra. But
this is true. That's true.
But you know what though? I'll tell you though, I don't drink Michelob Ultra, but when I do drink lighter beers, if I'll drink like Coors Light or Bud Light or whatever it is, like I do feel like I can drink forever.
Yeah.
And the next day you don't feel like a total piece of shit.
I can't. I'm being honest, Josh. I cannot tell you the last time. I can tell you the last time I was fucked up. It was that 40 milligrams. I can't tell you the last time I was drunk or hungover.
Okay, maybe not hungover, but I can tell you that we were all drunk the night we were in St. Louis gambling. Because you were drinking that honey whiskey. You kept ordering the honey whiskey one. And, and we were really loud at the gambling table, and she was telling us like, "Hey guys," and we were having a good time. But when the dealer's telling you, the pit boss was looking at us, and we're like, "Okay," but it was awesome. We had a great time. We all won money that night, so we were having a blast.
That's right. There you go. That's it.
Good time.
That's why they were upset. You guys won money.
Yeah, that's another reason why they're upset. Yeah, sons of bitches. All right, what else you got for us, George?
Thank you, Hunkleton. He has a $1.99 membership.
Well, thank you, sir, and I hope I answered your question with enough of a story. But yeah, that's awesome.
All right, now to some non-membership questions because I was the only one. All right, what is the holdup with Josh going into boxing, either with Nate or Gilbert from Shouty33 _?
Yeah, what is the hang up there, mister?
So I was exploring some options a while back, and there was some talk about that Nate might have been there, that we might have been able to put something together. And I was really looking to do it in bare knuckle fighting, and Nate has no desire. It doesn't seem like to fight in bare knuckle. I'm not saying that he's closed the door on it, but at that time, it was before the Jake Paul fight. It was other fights that it didn't seem like he was leaning that way. Obviously, when you could fight with gloves on, not have to worry about getting punched with bare knuckle. And then
he does have a lot of scar tissue.
Yeah, exactly. So
Not,
I think that conversation just kind of like petered out a little bit, and then it kind of stoked back up a little bit with Gilbert. But Gilbert was more of a grappling match, looking to do grappling matches against Gilbert, which was actually kind of a different way to look at it. I was interested in doing it. I know that Chael, because he had like a grappling match that he does up in Oregon, and he was like, "Hey, how do you guys do it?" And we just, I guess,
Underground.
we never, was it called
Submission Underground?
And we had talked about doing it. I actually even talked to Chael about it. He's like, I'd love to do it. Let's talk about it, this and that. And then I never followed up on that deal. And so that was probably more me and maybe even Gil. I know that Gil was going through some stuff during COVID, in terms of like changing his gym over to a new location, member count, trying to get his gym, keeping his gym afloat. And I think a lot of it kind of petered out during that time too. And then we kind of revisited it a little bit just recently about potentially Gil and I being on the undercard of the Masvidal Diaz fight. I don't know if the budget had allowed, because they've also got Shane Mosley Jr. on there. They've got Fernando Vargas' son on there. They've got Sean Garcia, Ryan Garcia's brother on there. They've got, and then obviously you got Nick and Nate.
Anthony Pettis.
Not Nick, but you have Nate and, and so you got the fight. Pettis is on there. So I think kind of like what we were looking for in terms of budget wise, I don't think it fit, to fit what they were looking to do. It's not fully off, but I do know that there's, Gil and I have expressed interest in maybe doing a boxing match. We expressed interest in doing probably a grappling match against each other. I'd like to do a grappling match against Nate. I'd love to do one against Nate. Nate, he beat me in a grappling match by a referee's decision, long before him and I had fought, and then then I beat him during a fight. So I'd like to maybe revisit a grappling match with him, or maybe a boxing match. I'd love to do that. That's not it. I mean, I'm actually open to an Anthony Pettis fight too. I kind of, for some reason, John kind of rolls his eyes at me at this. I don't know. There's something about bare knuckle that really kind of entices me to want to do it at least once, just one time. I just want to do it once. I mean, I don't know. I've done boxing before in the past. I've done kickboxing before in the past. I've done Muay Thai. I've done different types of, obviously MMA. I've wrestled my whole life. It's like I've pretty much done all the combat sports. Karate combat kind of interests me a little bit, because of the rules change. The rule set's a little bit different. You're allowed a little bit of ground and pound. You're a little, things like that. So I'm kind of interested in that as well. But bare knuckle is something that's completely different than everything I've done outside of just street fights when I was younger. So there's some interest there. And I'm not just going to limit it to, to Gilbert or to Nate, although those are people that I think I keep high on the list. But I do think there's some interest for me. I'd like to do the Pettis thing because Pettis and I were supposed to fight for the UFC title. So I'd like to maybe try to get that fight somehow, some way. I also think maybe even like, I don't know. It's funny. I think in the boxing world, I wouldn't mind fighting Chris Avila either. He's fun, man. He's fun. Like, I don't know. I don't have anything against him. I respect the kid a lot. I think he's a way better boxer than he is an MMA guy. But he's just fun, man. He's just a fun. I think I love the way he fights. He's he brings it. He does the he's a great fighter. I like watching him fight. And so he's someone that's
he's entertaining.
What's that?
He's entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
He just keeps marching forward, man. And he throws.
So I think that's kind of where we're at with that. I mean, we'll see. I mean, karate combat, bare knuckle, those are two that kind of interest me. I really don't have a whole lot of interest in doing it in the MMA anymore. It's a lot of wrestling, a lot of grappling. I mean, it's like
it's work. It's hard work.
I mean, I'm down to do some grappling, just straight grappling if you want, where I don't have to worry about getting punched. Okay, then I can focus on just the one thing, the wrestling and the grappling together. I'm cool with that. I'll try that. But outside of that, nah. Bare knuckles, for some reason, John, just kind of sparks my interest.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Bare knuckles is good.
What else you got for us, buddy?
BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus 10% gambler's insurance. Get started today. BetUS, where the game begins.
All right. This one's from I'm Nersy X. What's your favorite and least favorite story of being a gym owner? From both of you guys, if possible.
Favorite story and least favorite story. Wow. Let's see. My least favorite story is that I got ripped off for like a couple $100,000. So that's probably my least favorite.
I'll pay it back to you.
Favorite. You know, when you sit there and you say favorite, for me, it would have been just the kids programs and watching the kids mature, learn something, go out, compete, pull it off, and just go crazy because it worked. And that was some of the best, feelings that you could get when it came to everything. Watching the kids come back into the gym wearing their big medals and their gold medals and stuff. And we used to put a rack up, and the kids could put all of their medals from the different tournaments up on the board, and it was all the way across. It was huge, and that was the best part.
Yeah.
The worst part, truthfully, when you're looking at it, is just the reverse. It's the parents being the ones that they want to be coaches. They want to, you would tell them, hey man, you know what, don't coach. You're there to be a cheerleader. You're there to root them on. You're there to tell them how good they did. Don't get down on them, and don't coach. And that's not an easy thing for a parent to listen to. It's hysterical. But you had a gym, you were doing the same thing. What was it like? Same thing?
Yeah, but those weren't like 100% the kids. The kids was the best part. Is for me, I had a really successful kids program. I loved coaching the kids. It's funny because I just came back to California last week, and the very first thing I did was meet up with all the parents that of the kids that I first started coaching, and they're all in college now. One of them is about to graduate college. You got one more semester
crazy,
left,
isn't it?
And the rest of them are all going to be freshmen in college. Like that first initial group, they just got a soft spot in my heart, man. They're the ones that helped build my program. Like they were such good kids. They all loved all each other. They even now, all of them go to different schools, but they're all friends outside of the gym. Even to this day, even though I don't have my gym anymore, they're all still friends. They all text each other. They all hang out with each other. They drive, 4, 5, 7, 10 miles just to see each other on the weekends, and they hang out. Their friends cross-pollinate from one high school to the next. And I mean, as much as, and I like to tell their parents, man, I did that. These kids will end up being friends for life. And it's awesome. A pretty cool situation. So that is definitely the best part. I think the worst part, and I can't say any one employee, but pretty much just having employees in general are the most difficult things. I had my core group that I really enjoyed, having with me pretty much from the beginning to the end. They were great. They did so many good things for me. But the ones that came and went, and it was just painful. Like you would literally hire someone, and like within 2 weeks, they're like, yeah, start this class. So you start a class for them because, you saw their numbers were growing within 2 weeks. Their members were, people would come in to take their class. They're like, yeah, but then they wanted to start like a 6 a.m. class. Or they wanted to start like a 9 a.m. class. And then within a month, they were like, I can't make it. Can you cover it? Or, hey, I overslept. Can you, I won't be able to make it. It's just, and you're just got to deal with that. And then shortly after, they would leave and go think, they would think they could start their own business and do their own thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's always that they can do it on their own. No different than having any type of jiu-jitsu coach. They all just want to be there to, for you to pay for it all. And then,
try to steal the students.
And then when it comes time for them, they feel like they can get out on their own. They'll just try to steal all your students. That's pretty much every jiu-jitsu coach that I've ever had. And so it's a really crappy situation. So I would say the employees are probably the worst part of owning your own gym.
That's a good part.
I mean, like you found out the hard way, right? Ripping you off. That was obviously an employee.
That was it.
Look, I didn't have that. I did early.
One that I trusted.
I had someone steal from me early, but he was so shady doing it. Like you could see it was so obvious that he was doing it He was like, hey guys, just go ahead and just pay cash. Like, I'm like, no, we have EFT. Put everyone on EFT. You want everyone on EFT because it's easier that way. No, he was just telling people like coming up to me like, hey Josh, he's telling me that I have to pay cash. I'm like, no, you don't have to pay cash. I'm like, so what's going on? Do you start seeing the numbers are not getting put in? And you're like, okay. That lasted about a month. I'm like, all right, dude, you're out. See you later, buddy. Yep. So outside of that, the kids is definitely the high point. The employees is the low point. Yep. What else, George?
All right, from Dev5416. How many times should a fighter be KO'd before considering a serious retirement, such as Johnny Walker, Alistair Overeem, James Vick?
Truthfully, I say 3. And, it's a hard thing. But if you've actually been KO'd, meaning that you've been hurt so bad that you don't remember it really, you're talking about fighting is something, a lot of people look at and they say, it's what I am. I'm a fighter. And it's like something you do. Okay. And there's other parts of your life. And the one thing is when you're young and you're accepting this damage and you're not looking at the future and you're not saying, I didn't think I was going to live past 35. Mm-hmm. I would, if you would have told me, John, when will you be dead? I'll be dead by I'm 35. I did too many, things that, risky, take chances. And you just look and you go, hey, I wasn't worried about it. But, when you get, past that, and then you go, hey, life's pretty good, and you enjoy things. And there's a great life out there. But when you're young, you don't look at it that way. You just look at the present. And the one thing that fighting, like any combat sport, it can alter who you are as a person. It can alter your personality. It can alter your ability to do the things in life that you want to do. And, it's one of those that you've got to be in that position to understand. There comes a point where you say, I got to pull the cord. A lot of people can't. And we see over time what happens to some of those people, to a lot of them. And, the things that we talk about as far as, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, Josh jokes about it all the time, and I will tell you, I've done nothing. I've done so many things with doctors over this stuff, and I learned so much about it because I was worried when I was a referee that, hey, I didn't want to be having people that, were in trouble coming in and what to look for and all these different things. And 3 times you get knocked out, you better start thinking about what your next career is. And I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but it is, because if you get knocked out 3 times and you have 3 concussions, I guarantee you it will have an impact on your life.
Yeah, I would look. I mean, for me, it happened twice, but I mean, I was in trouble a couple fights, and you just notice the difference. You notice and I think fighters, they're aware of it. They just are in denial of the fact that they feel like they can keep going. And I don't think you need to be knocked out. I don't think you need to have that KO. I think if you've had a bunch of, whether they're Tony Ferguson fights, other fighters that we've seen that have been through just hellacious wars. Yeah, wars. I mean, look, I'm gonna be honest. He's one of my closest friends in the sport. Is Frankie Edgar. I know that he doesn't show anything, but personally, after the Gray Maynard fights, I was like, man, like, are you, but then every time I see him, he's chipper. He's got, we've talked about this and he is 100% like, no, everything feels good. He's like, I feel normal. I still feel good. Like my memory doesn't seem to be lost. I'm doing well. Like everything's good. I'm like, all right. Because like for me, after the Tony fight, I could tell a difference. My memory was not what it was. And my sparring sessions were different. I was getting hit a lot more than I ever did in my whole career. And so things just became different. And I think it was a reality check for myself. I mean, that's why it was so easy for me to wrap up my career. I was like, it's just time. And it's no matter what, I left a lot of money on the table. And I could have kept fighting, and even talking with the promoters, even with Coker. He's like, look, I'll fight you out your contract. He's like, whatever you want, whatever you want to do. He's like, but if you want to go, then, you can go. He's like, whatever. He's like, I'm not going to hold you hostage. And I'm like, I know you can retire at any time. No promoter's going to tell you can't. But it was more of like, I wanted to be there to help him build Bellator. And I was like, look, this is not, my health to me is more important. And I knew kind of where the direction of my career was. I never wanted to be a stepping stone. I think for fighters, you have to just kind of realize that. But I also think it really depends on, like I said, you don't have to be knocked out for you to realize it's time to retire. You just need to be, you could have those wars where you took big shots, and you took a big beating, and that from then on, it could be a different part of your career. And so those were things that I came to a realization on. But I would say probably a minimum of 2, depending on how the rest of your career has been. I'd like to say that I didn't take a lot of damage throughout my career. I took some damage in the Clay Guida fight. I took some damage, obviously, in the Gill fights, and then the Tony Ferguson fight. But majority of the other fights, I very rarely walked away with cuts or scars or black eyes, a little puffy lip here and there. But, I pretty much walked away unscathed for most of my fights. So I was pretty lucky and fortunate.
My farm needs the earth, the air, and the water. I get my energy going on LMNT Electrolyte Drink Mix. Clean, good-tasting energy that feeds me like I feed my plants and animals. And after a long day on the tractor, when it's time to shoot the podcast, I drink LMNT so that I can stay energized and stay salty. Let's get it on. Next one.
All right, we got Apple Bottom Jeans 1951.
Nice.
Big John, top 3 fights ref. Josh, top 3 fights fought.
Ooh.
That's a rough one. Go ahead.
Top 3 fights fought.
I'm telling you to go ahead. It's a whole lot, and this is not being disrespectful anyways, a whole lot easier to come up with 3 fights out of 30 than it is 3 fights out of 15,000.
10%.
No, I get it. Damn. No, I'm going to be honest. I think for me, the Hermes Franca fight was probably one of my favorite fights. Then I would say probably the Gill fight, the first one. Based on that, it kind of everything that I had worked on, it went exactly how we were hoping it would go. A 50-45 on the scorecards. One judge had it 50-44, I believe. And so that was before 10-8 rounds were prevalent, and hard to get. And I got one. So it was like, it made things, that was probably, obviously, and then winning the title was the big deal from Gill. So I would say the Hermes Franca fight was important to me. It was one of the first fights that I realized that I was a real fighter. I wasn't a quitter, someone that took some big shots and didn't quit, didn't give up. That was important to me in my life. I wanted to know if I'd be a fighter that rolled over and just tapped out, when I was getting my face punched in, and then I realized I wasn't. So that worked out. And then the Gill fight. And then I'd probably see the second Gill fight, even though I lost the title, but it was probably the second Gill fight. That was another fight that I was out there. I was having so much fun in that fight. I was so happy to be back in the cage, and it was a good fight. It was a great fight. I know it didn't go my way, but man, it was a great fight. I knew that when I walked out of there, I couldn't have given any more. And to add a caveat, I would say probably my fourth one would be the Tony Ferguson fight, because it goes back to at the end of your career. Like early in my career with Hermes, I was like, oh, okay, I'm young. I'm not going to give up. Like, screw you guys. But when you're older, you're like, I have kids then. You have family. You understand, like, okay, what am I doing this for? Like, why am I taking this much abuse? But I still had that, I don't know, just that thought in my mind, like, no, don't give up. Don't give up. Like, I know this fight's not going your way, but you can't give up. Like, nothing. So, I would say those are the fights that I think I remember the most, that I'm going to take with me forever.
Yeah. There's been I've had some unbelievable fights that, no one would know the names of the guys that, have been there. So most of the ones, I talk about are ones that people know about. I always say the Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald. That was just an incredible fight. And it was incredible based upon the circumstances. They'd fought before, and they had this thing about each other, and they both hurt each other throughout the fight. And the whole thing was, I'm not going to show you that I'm hurt. I'm not going to give in. And just the way they went about it, and then the moments in that fight, and the way that, and I'm going to say it, Rory McDonald, people have no concept what he went through in that fight. And when I say what he went through is when your nose is shattered in the first round and you are what we call aspirating blood, because everyone gets the drip that goes down their throat, and it's going to go in their stomach. They're going to end up either, crapping it out or throwing it up. Usually they throw it up later on, especially when there's, all the activity. But he was unable to breathe through his nose, so then he's sucking it in through his mouth, which every time he takes a deep breath, the blood that's dripping down now goes into his airway, and it starts to aspirate into his lungs and clog up his lungs in the way that they normally function. And you could see him, if you watch that fight, you'll see him as he comes out early in the rounds and he does really well. And he starts to tail off because he can't breathe and he's not getting enough oxygen. And Robbie comes on, and it's just all part of the whole makeup of that fight. But that would be one of the ones I would say was really big. I did a lot of Conor fights, and there was the Diaz fight and everything. But I got to say, his performance when he fought Eddie Alvarez, and the reason I picked that fight also is, one of my if you want to, we call it bucket list. One of my bucket list things was, I said someday, I want to say that I got to work in Madison Square Garden. Well, that was the first time I got to work in Madison Square Garden. So that was a cool show, and it's just an unbelievable performance by one guy against a guy that I had nothing but huge respect for in Eddie Alvarez. I had worked with Eddie before. Eddie had nothing but heart, and I thought it was going to be a great fight. It was for one guy.
Yeah.
It was incredible what Conor did in that fight. So that would be a big one. Another one that, I always loved Bisping against Rockhold. And the reason I love that fight is because Bisping got that thing with like 10 days to actually prepare for it. He had already lost to Rockhold, and he had lost to Rockhold bad. And when I went in the back to talk to Luke, it was one of the things, I always look for a fighter that disrespects their opponent. And Luke didn't even, he was like, John, this is nothing, and he was not prepared for that fight in any way. And Bisping was, one of those things, I say the same thing when Matt Serra fought George St. Pierre. Matt Serra was happy. He was just happy to be there. Hey, this is fucking great, man. This is awesome, man. And Mike Bisping on that day was that same thing. He was happy. He was just, dude, I got nothing to lose, man. What are you talking about? This is the greatest thing ever. I'm fighting for the fucking title. I finally got my fucking title shot. Boom. And so that was, I love that fight and the fact that Michael got his title. But I would say the one that I would really look at is Fedor when he lost. I did Fedor's fight when he finally lost to Fabricio Verdum. And it was, there was all that, pressure from different people on Fedor about, continuing that win streak. When's the win streak going to end? When's it going to end? And it was just the way that it ended, and the way that Fabricio did great things. Fedor made mistakes in it, but, he bounced himself off of the cage in a way that, caused him a problem. But it was the way that, one tap, and people were like, it should have been 3 taps. No, he did a man tap. He's stuck. He's in the triangle. He's getting his arm, and boom, he taps. That was it. And I stopped the fight. And it was like, I felt really bad for him, and I felt great for Fabricio. But then I looked at Fedor, and I talked to him, and he goes, well, it was about to happen sometime. And you look, and you go, yeah, it was. And it was one of those same things, that I learned from Randy Couture and all the greats. It's a fight.
Yeah.
If that's the worst thing that happens, I lose a fight, big deal. And so that was another big one. So there's kind of 4.
Can I throw one more in there though for you?
Yeah, go, man.
I'll say Paul Daly and Nick Diaz.
Oh my God, fucking unbelievable. See, I forget about them all. Yeah, it's like there's too many. That one round was unbelievable. And it was I had more people in that fight, Josh. Why did you stop it? And it was like, because I had to. Do you think I wanted to? Do you think I wanted to stop that fight? Paul got, I got to give it to both guys because they were so tough at that. But it was I hate ref cams. Can't stand them. Fucking worst thing ever. I've always thought that. But I wish I had one that night. And I wish I had it so people could have seen what I got to see and seen that last shot of Paul Daly on his back. He gets hit and his eye goes sideways. One is looking straight up and his left eye does a left-hand turn. And that's why I stopped. I was like, oh, his brain just shut off. And it was, that was one of those ones I wish everyone got to see what I got to see, but you don't, that's just part of it. People don't know what, you hear inside of the cage. They don't get to see what you see. And sometimes they do. Many times they don't. But you're right. That was a great one.
Next question.
Let's go to Spartacus Games 1. What would you do regarding the heavyweight division? Would you have Alex come up and fight Tom and the winner fight Jones?
John, I mean, like, I'm gonna kind of leave Alex out of it because after thinking about it over the week, I think that Alex needs to fight Ankalaev. And Ankalaev has made some comments about that. He's like, I don't need to wrestle him. I can stand and I can knock him out. He said Ankalaev basically said he thinks his chin is gone. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. I guess then we're gonna see who gets to whose chin first. That's really what it's gonna come down to. But that's a fight that definitely interests me. I want to see that fight. So before we move him up to heavyweight, I'd like to see him fight Ankalaev. And then after that, honestly, he's cleared out the division already. There's not a lot. Like when you get into 85, 205, and even heavyweight, there's not a lot of top guys. You can only beat the top 4, and then the rest of them are so far behind that there's no reason to have the champ fight those guys that are back there. They got to work. The cream's got to rise to the top. They got to fight their way to the top. And that's going to take too long. And so I'd like to see him, once he beats Ankalaev, if he does beat Ankalaev, then I think then there's a chance for him to move up to heavyweight. And in terms of John Jones, I mean, I saw someone ask John on Twitter basically like, after you beat Stipe, are you going to retire? He doesn't know what he's going to do. I look at him right now. He's not – I don't think that he's interested in fighting the young guys right now. And I'm not taking a dig at him at all. To me, he's done everything. Like, really, like, I think Stipe motivates him because Stipe is considered to be the best heavyweight the UFC's had. I know it's not the same Stipe that was beating guys before. I understand that. But there's just something that goes along. John's looking for names on his lapel or his nightstand or whatever it is. I don't know. But he's looking for the names, to put
notches on the belt.
Notches on the belt. He's looking for those. Yeah. And Stipe is that top name in the heavyweight division. Outside of that, sure, I'd love to see him fight Tom Aspinall. I think that would make the most sense. If it's not going to be Stipe, it definitely makes the most sense. I just don't know if we're going to see that. I don't think that's going to I don't think that fight right now is where John's at in his life and his career. I mean, maybe something is said that sparks him to do it, but I don't see that happening. So Alex stays where he's at to fight Ankalaev, and I think John is waiting for Stipe. He's waiting for himself to get healthy to fight Stipe, and then I think he's going to make a decision from there on where he goes from there.
I think you've got it, fairly right as far as Alex moving up and fighting either Tom or John. I don't think he should. That's not my choice. That's his choice. That's the UFC's choice. But I do think there are certain people in the light heavyweights that he could take on, Ankalaev being one. I look at John, and John's in that position, and this is in no way taking any kind of slight at him at all. He's been there and he's done it, and he's done it against everybody. And so it's very difficult to get excited if you're John anymore about anybody, about who I'm going to fight. But risk management will kind of lead you into certain directions. And when I say risk management, it was like when John was going to fight, possibly fight Francis. he looked at that, and I think that would be a fight that John would like. John knows that I could get knocked out. He knows that. He knows that if Francis lands a good punch, he can go out like anybody. But his chances in that fight, if he avoids that knockout shot in the fight, his chances are really good to get a win in that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way he looks at, his fight with Stipe. His fight with Stipe is Stipe, it was considered the guy who held the heavyweight championship belt the longest as far as defended the title the most times. I want to be the guy that beats that guy. Okay. Makes sense, but not a fight that I'm interested in as far as, if I was going to say I got to see Stipe against John or Tom Aspinall, being the fan, I know who's the better fighter now. Tom Aspinall is the better fighter now. And that's taking nothing against Stipe. I love Stipe, but when you get into the 40s, it's different. The speed's going to be different. Aspinall is a bigger, stronger, faster athlete now than Stipe is. And he presents more problems for John, because it's the same thing as you can look and say, Stipe presents the same kind of problems in that he can stand up and fight. He can wrestle. Submission wise, he's not a guy that really goes after submissions a lot, but he's got a good ground and pound. He controls people well. Aspinall has got good stand up. He's got power in the stand up. He's got actually more power, I think, per shot than Stipe. Stipe is more of a volume hitter as a heavyweight. He can knock people out, but he's a volume guy. Aspinall's got a really tremendous submission game, so he presents problems if you make a mistake. And he also can wrestle. That presents all these problems for John. So why do I want to face all those problems when I can face people that don't present me as many problems? That's just being smart if you're John Jones in the position he's at, because I honestly don't think John's going to be around that much longer. And it's partly because it's like, there comes a point you got to sit there and say, why am I going to keep on pushing the envelope in this? Why? What's it going to do for me? It's not going to do anything for me. His career speaks for itself.
Yeah, it's not going to do anything for him. I think also too, it's not so much that Tom Aspinall doesn't motivate him. There's just, when you're usually the champion, you've seen all the up and comers come up. But Tom, because he is so good on the feet, because he is so good on the ground, because he's had success and he's kind of dominated, what he's been able to do, except for the knee injury when he got hurt against Blades. Yeah. There's not a big enough sample size. There's not a big enough history for John Jones to go like, look, I can beat him there. I can beat him there.
That could be
something about not fight. If you're a champion, there's something about like, look, let me see more on him before I go out there and say I can go out there and put myself at risk. That's normally what champions get an opportunity to do. They get a chance to see this guy his last 4 or 5 fights.
Multiple times, yep. True.
And seeing Tom Aspinall's last 4 or 5 fights, there's not much. There's probably, 10 minutes of tape at the most for all the fights together.
Yeah, that's true.
So that being said, like, I don't have more than 8 minutes of video on him to watch and see, like, how does he handle pressure when he's tired? Does he handle being on his back when he's tired? Does he scramble to get up, or is he better on top, or is he better off his back? Like, how does he handle people when they're longer and they strike better from distance? Does he handle pressure going backwards? Can he strike? There's so many questions that need to be answered. And for a champion like John Jones, who's done it all, he's had a chance to see all the guys he's fought come up. Not enough footage right now, I think, on Tom Aspinall for John to be like, you know what, let me go out there and risk it all for a guy I've only seen 7 or 8 minutes or 10 minutes worth of tape on. And so I think there's going to have to be more time. Tom Aspinall, I think the worst thing that he could have done was just not stay busy. Right now, he needs to stay as busy as possible. So, and just whatever happens, I think I don't want to say he's heads and shoulders above everybody else, but I feel like he is a lot better than majority of the heavyweights, athletically, in terms of his techniques. I think he's just a better fighter than all of them. Now, who knows? He may be someone that gasses out in round 2, 3. We haven't seen that yet. That's the thing.
Seen him in round 2.
Yeah, but not. We haven't seen 3, 4, and 5. He's the interim champ. We haven't seen round 5 out of him yet.
True.
So, does he, if he did fight John Jones, does he try to defend the takedowns because he doesn't want to be at the bottom of John Jones, or does he just say, okay, yeah, sure, I'll go to my back and just play my guard and then try to get back up? That's not something I would recommend, but maybe he's confident in that way. That could be to his demise. Does he try to take John down and try to put John on bottom? How often have we seen John Jones on his back? You know what I mean? So, like, how does John handle that? That's another thing. Like, does Tom Aspinall try to take him down? So there's that fight definitely interests, I think, a lot of the fans. But I think if I'm John, I'm trying to get a bigger sample size out of it all and see exactly where he's at.
One fight I would like for Potan Alex Pereira is him versus Cyril Gahn at heavyweight. I don't know why. It just interests me. It tickles my fancy, you know?
I mean, I just think the guys, even though he's 230, 240, 238, whatever it is, I still just don't think he's physically big enough. I know he's big. I know he's strong. I don't think that he's physically big enough. Like, if you were to have him fight Curtis Blades, I think Curtis Blades would ragdoll him. You know, and I'm a fan, man. I would love to see him. I'd love to see him cash for 3 titles. I'd love to see it because he seems like such a cool guy, man. I've never met him, but he seems like, if he's friends with Glover, he's got to be a cool guy. Sorry, but like Glover, he gets a pass. If he's friends with Glover, he gets a pass. He's an automatic cool guy.
True.
That's the way I look
at it. If Glover says you're good, you're good.
All right. Next one.
Naman Jamil. Chandler said UFC contacted him to fight Islam, and Charles expressed interest at fighting Islam as well. Does this mean Arman rejected the PSA and won't fight Islam in October?
I mean, probably.
If you're the UFC, you're always having to move forward. And when you have right now Islam, he's your champ. You want to have your champ fighting. He wants to fight. And truthfully, you're kind of stuck in the fact that, okay, what do you have? You got Max Holloway, who's up at 155. Now he's going to go back to 145. That's where he's going to be. That's where he's comfortable. So he's going to be at 145. Gaethje, and I was just with Justin. He's out he's going to give his body time to heal and everything. And that's smart. That shows why he's, the guy that he is. He knows that, hey, rest is a really important part of doing fights the way that he does them. And so he's not available right now. All right, we got Dustin Poirier. He just had a shot. So you can't go back with Dustin, even though he had a great, performance. But he got, submitted by Islam. Okay, let's see. Arman is out right now based upon a suspension. So he's not available. So who do you have? Right now, Chandler is sitting in that position. He's not fighting. He hasn't fought for a long time. He's waiting for Conor. So they give him, and this is one of those ones you take a look at. Hey, we'll give you this title fight. You want a title fight? You've got it against Islam. And now Chandler's in that position to say, what's more important to me? Is it chasing this Conor fight that I may never get, or is it getting a shot at the title? I'm honestly looking at it like, if he had to choose tomorrow, not knowing, he's going to stay with Conor.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Did you not see what Islam tweeted? No, he's like, you're too unreliable. He's like, if once your master calls, he's ready to fight. He's like, you'll go running.
Well, right now, if you take a look at, everything that's happened, Michael has been nothing but, cooperative in everything that has occurred with Conor, the weight differences, saying, oh, we're going to fight at 185. Okay. Everything that has happened, Michael Chandler's gone, okay. There's got to be a point where he goes, done. I don't know when that point is.
John, but let's not all sit here and pretend like it wasn't all like by selfish needs. Like he wants to fight Conor so he could have Conor on that list of guys that he fought. Whether he beats him or not, I think he's still up in the air. But
sure,
that's all because he wants to say that he fought Conor McGregor. He could walk around saying, and that I understand that, to say he fought Conor McGregor. But do you want to be champion or do you not? Because it should have been a pretty quick, hey, Yeah, I'll take that fight.
You would think, I'm being honest, you would think that a shot at the title would be the thing that you go, oh, absolutely, I'll take it. But I
Look,
don't think that's the way he's thinking right now.
yeah, everyone knows that Islam's my boy. But I said this over a year ago, maybe even longer, right? Kind of when Chandler went into the UFC, I said like he could give Islam some problems because Islam's gonna have a harder time taking him down because he's shorter. Islam's tall, man. He's 6 foot, 5'11", 6 foot. It's gonna be hard for Islam, I know, to get in on a body lock on a kid that's 5'6". Chandler's got to be what, 5'6", maybe 5'7". He's not a big guy. I mean, I'm obviously.
I think he's listed at 5'8".
Yeah, he's 5'8", which is stretched out, so he's probably about 5'6" and a half. He went to go see his doctor for those measurements.
Is that what it is?
But look, he's got power in his hands. I think in the first round, Islam's got to be careful. He's gonna be very cautious in the first, round and a half. After that, though, I see Islam kind of running away with it. Chandler does slow down a lot, but he still goes and pushes hard, but he leaves himself open quite a bit. Submission wise, I mean, I'm going to go with, I know that Chandler's only been submitted one time, but Islam, when he gets to the top position, we've seen it over and over again. Kimura to the back, to the rear naked. It's just, it's there. It's a format. It works. And, but all of that being said, I got to be honest. Max Holloway is the fight to make. Just the performance he had over Justin Gaethje. I mean, point of the floor. If I'm the UFC, I'm not running from that fight right now. He just did something to Justin Gaethje that we have never seen anyone do to him. I mean, and look, and I was on the other side going, when this fight was happening, I was like, this is a bad fight for Max. I just don't see it working for him. I think the power, I think Justin's pressure, man, was I wrong. Jeez, I'm still going, I couldn't have been more wrong about picking a fighter. I don't think I've ever been that wrong in my career. I was way wrong, John. Like, not even a little bit, by a lot. Okay? I was concerned for Max. I thought, because he's so tough, I thought he'd take more damage than he needed to. He should have, Man, he didn't take any damage. He was the one doing all the damage. And so, if I'm the UFC, why would I let that moment lapse? Why would I let that moment lapse? So I would say, no, let's go Max and let's go. There's no bigger fight. Chandler and Islam is nowhere near the numbers of Max and Islam.
Yeah, but your problem is this, and I agree with you. I think that Max is the guy that's deserving. But if you're the UFC, you've already said things about Islam in the fact that two of his fights are against featherweights.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now if you're Islam, you're going, no, I don't want another featherweight. He's a featherweight. Okay, so give me someone who is a lightweight. Give me someone who's a welterweight, want to come down. I don't care. I don't want a featherweight because you're the ones that are saying something bad about that I'm fighting featherweights.
Okay, but here's the difference, though, John. The difference is this: Volkanovski came up with no fights to get up to the title shot. He just got the pass because of what his groundwork behind. He deserved it. The work that he had laid behind, he deserved that automatic title shot, and he jumped in on short notice for the second one, which everyone, I think, understood why he did it. But Max Holloway legitimately beat the number one contender, and he didn't just beat him. He made it look
Josh,
easy.
I totally agree with you, and I think it's actually a fight that could they could market well. Yeah. But if I'm Islam, after some of the things that were said, I'm going I don't want to fight a featherweight.
I get where you're at, but I would rather fight the guy that just beat the number one contender than fight the number 5 guy who's lost to all the other number 1 contenders. I mean, that's one way of looking at it, right? He lost to Dustin. He lost to Justin. I mean, he was losing to Corey Ferguson until he hit him with the upkick.
I'm not saying you're wrong. But I'm just saying if you're Islam, you kind of look and saying, you're the ones that told me that, I'm not pound for pound because I'm fighting featherweights.
Yeah.
Is that not what was said?
That's what they said. But Dana right now is high on this. John Jones is the best and the greatest. And
hold on. Dana's right. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I agree with Dan. John Jones is the best fighter that's ever done it. Whether you like him or not, he's the best fighter that's ever fought MMA. He has absolutely gone on a streak since he was 20, winning the title at 24. Is that what he won? Beat Shogun
23
Rua?
24, yeah.
Okay. And he's 36 years of age now, 37, 35, 36, 37. He hasn't lost. He's lost to stupid things, but he hasn't lost in the cage.
Yeah.
Okay. So Dana's right when he says he's the best. When you look at the pound for pound thing, the truth, when you sit there, there's no way of determining who's the true pound for pound. You can sit there and say anything, well, if Demetrius Johnson was, a 225 pound guy, well, he's not going to be. Okay. And so if you're going to say the truth is John beats everybody, he does, So if you were going to look at that list, you go, yeah, John's is the pound for pound, but the pound for pound is supposed to be, well, let's take Islam and make him a 250 pound guy. Yeah. He'd be pretty goddamn fucking impressive.
Yeah.
He'd be pretty dangerous. So
I do it based off of activity. I do it based off activity. You have to be.
I can understand that.
And
he got hurt.
Look,
John got hurt.
If John fights 1 or 2 times in 1 year, he's going to be the number 1 pound for pound. He's going to surpass the other guys because there's just no way of denying the fact that he's pretty much never lost outside of, the one hiccup that there was, some fuckery going around with. So that was it. All right, let's go. We'll do one more. Hit me up with another one.
All right, let's see. Robbie K5266. Who are your guys' top coaches in MMA right now?
Ooh.
Go ahead.
I'm going to go with Khabib Nurmagomedov. It's probably number 1 right now.
Okay, that's a good one.
I'm going to go with Khabib, and
obviously total homer.
Yeah, you could say that. You could definitely say that. But I'm going to put him from the fact that you got him and Javier working together as a team. They've got a great unit of fighters that are right now. A lot of them are at the top of the food chain. It's hard for me to say that he's not probably the best coach right now. Now, look, all these coaches are phenomenal. I want to make sure that John, all the ones that you and I know and have had on this show, they're pretty much all phenomenal. I mean,
I'm not saying that.
Mike Brown, come on, let's go. Javier,
fantastic.
Greg Jackson,
fantastic.
These guys. Let's all just be very upfront. These guys do so much traveling for their fighters. Who majority of them, sure, they act like they appreciate it, but not all of them appreciate it the way that they deserve to be appreciated. These trainers do so much. They love their guys. They work hard for their guys, and they're really good people, man. They're great people. Yeah. And I mean, I'm not saying they're doing it for peanuts, but let's just say they should be all making a little bit more money. Eric Nixon, great example. Another great, phenomenal coach. Just a great person also, too. We've had him on as well several times. So those are, I would say, if I'm going to go with the list. I'm not going to put them in any order because they're all phenomenal coaches. But those are my top. Those are my top list of coaches right there.
Yeah, if I was going to pick a top 5 list in no particular order, it's going to have one guy that wasn't mentioned already is John Kavanaugh. He is a phenomenal coach. Okay,
shout out.
Eric Nixick would be on it. Mike Brown would be on it. You got to put. And people don't give him credit. Marcus Silveira, Conan, has turned into a phenomenal coach. Just outstanding. Khabib, Javier, they're just all fantastic. Obviously Greg Jackson, Mike Winklejohn, phenomenal. Saud is fantastic. There's just the guys that do it and do it the right way. They're gold.
Yeah,
and they all deserve, to be put up into that place of honor because it's not an easy job and they do it incredibly well.
Absolutely. All right, guys, that's going to wrap our show. We want to thank you guys so much. Sorry we didn't get to everyone's questions, but obviously I'm in the jungle right now and doing the best I can off of a generator. So hopefully it wasn't too dodgy.
Welcome to the jungle.
In the jungle. Yeah, this is what's the Axl Rose, right? Guns N' Roses, baby. Guns N' Roses.
Guns N' Roses, baby.
Thank you guys so much. And a real quick honorable mention. This weekend, pay-per-view, I will be yours truly. Bam! We'll be working the show. Masvidal Diaz fight, Pettis and Chris Avila. And you've got, obviously, Mosley Jr. He's going to be fighting Daniel Jacobs.
Danny Jacobs.
It's going to be a great boxing match
so
the weekend.
For that one.
Yeah, Sean Garcia, Ryan Garcia's brother. He's also going to be fighting Fernando Vargas' son. Amato Vargas. It's going to be a great night of fights on the 6th. It will be pay-per-view. Make sure you guys tune in. Enjoy the fights. Yours truly will be helping at the desk and calling some of the action with Amanda Guerra and BC, man. You guys all love BC. BC's a good dude. So, yeah, we're going to have some fun, man. Let's go. Sean Porter's also working the show, so make sure you guys tune in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And, John, take us away, buddy.
Hey, for everyone out there, have a fantastic 4th of July. Be safe. Don't let anything explode in your hand, and enjoy the weekend, and we will see you.